This episode is sponsored by Medicine-Based Beauty, where beauty is backed by science. Hello and welcome to Cultivate CNY. I'm your host, Alex Canavan, and in today's episode, I couldn't be more excited to welcome Jessica Montgomery and Tommy Lincoln of Stay Fresh Design. For the past 11 years, Tommy has been the creative force behind Stay Fresh, a Syracuse-based creative agency known for its bold, vibrant, and unforgettable work in photography, branding, web design, and public art. His fingerprints are all over the city, from murals that bring walls to life to branding that helps local businesses stand out. Through events like the Stay Fresh Chalk Jam and curated shows at the Stay Fresh Gallery, Tommy has helped energize and elevate Syracuse's art scene. Joining him is Jessica Montgomery, a powerhouse photographer who made Syracuse her home 7 years ago. Since then, she brought her international flair and editorial eye to the local creative community. Jessica's work spans fashion, food, and portraiture, bringing a polished, expressive edge to the visuals of some of Syracuse's top businesses and artists. She's known for her signature project, 31 Days of Halloween, and her ability to connect with clients through creativity and joy. Jessica has become a go-to visual storyteller. Together, Tommy and Jessica have built Stay Fresh into a creative hub that not only serves high-profile clients like Kevin Smith's Jay and Silent Bob Universe and the Tell 'em Steve Dave podcast, but also champions the growth and success of local staples like Glazed and Confused, Elevate Fitness, Syracuse Bicycle, and 1911 Established. In this episode, we dig into their creative journey, the evolution of Stay Fresh, and how art, design, and community come together to shape the soul of a city. All right, without further ado, let's get right into it. Jess, Tommy, welcome to
Hi.
Cultivate CNY.
Yeah.
Thanks
for
for
having
having
us.
me.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right. Yeah.
we're so excited to have you guys here.
Yeah. We're stoked.
Yeah.
This is going to be a fun conversation.
Yeah.
So, if anyone doesn't know who you two are, we've already announced it in the pre-recorded intro. So, do your homework.
Cool.
If you're listening.
Pre-recorded intro.
And if
I
you
love
don't
it.
know who these two are you living under a rock? I mean, honestly.
Oh.
You guys just told me
Made me
how you
blush.
met, and I love the story. Honestly, it's so
Okay.
cute and funny. So can you guys tell it one more time?
Oh.
Yes. So we met originally via Twitter back in the day when it was like good Twitter.
Mhm.
And we were.
What year was this?
Oh.
It's been in April. So it's April now. 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
10 years ago. We're both fans of the same podcast. Tell 'em Steve Dave.
Right. Which at the time was two members of a show called Comic Book Men that was on AMC and one of the guys on Impractical Jokers. But yeah, those three guys had a podcast. And two of the guys from Comic Book Men were also in a lot of movies from the Kevin Smith films of the 90s and stuff.
We were in the same fan circle. There's a lot of good interaction within the fans, and I was in this little subcategory of group because there wasn't a lot of women that were fans of the podcast, and so they called themselves the 13%ers because there's only 13% of the listeners were women. And I was in that group, and Tommy was making 13%er headers for everybody. And
Like graphics? Like
yeah.
Like Twitter header graphics.
Oh,
Yeah.
Twitter header. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
One of the other females in the group reached out. I did a lot of like fan art for the podcast, so my art was out there on Twitter a lot. I would do like some art for like an episode as like kind of just kind of something to get my creative juices going for like the week of whatever I was doing that week.
Yeah. And so he like sent me a DM and he was like, "Can I email you this header? I made one for all the 13%ers." And I was like, "No, thank you. I don't give out my personal information to strangers on the internet."
But you guys weren't strangers. You guys liked the same thing.
It was very, very amusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
But-
like, okay.
I was like, all right, yeah, well, all right, well, here's a link you can here's a link you can download it. I don't know.
Yeah. And so
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
This crazy chick from Oklahoma.
And then one of the other girls in the group was like, "You idiot. Do you know who Tommy Lincoln is?" Like, and I was like, "No." And so she was like, "Go do your research." And so I went and I followed him on his other social medias and yeah.
That was normal.
You're like,
I learned
oh,
that he
he's not a
wasn't.
predator.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
This is check mark 1 where Jess listens to too much true crime podcasts.
Listens to true crime podcasts, but won't give out her email.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but Jess
understandable.
had a lot of cool photography, and she did a lot of really cool things with models in Oklahoma. A lot of interesting experimental stuff, and I thought it was pretty neat. By happenstance, we were both in New Jersey where she was shooting a wedding, and I had some clients in New Jersey for this. Tell them Steve Dave, the podcast ended up being one of my clients where we did their website and a lot of their merch and a lot of their graphics for a long period of time. We still do a lot of their website stuff and Patreon stuff now. And we were there, and I asked her if she could come over to the comic book shop where they all work to shoot some products that they were coming out with. And she came over and shot some products and one of the guys on the pod. And she was stoked because she'd get to meet these guys that she was listening to on the podcast.
Yeah.
And then we were like, oh, this is really neat. You should come up to Syracuse, shoot some time. That couple who was getting married lives in Canandaigua. So they were like, you should come up and shoot us in Canandaigua. So we kind of timed it all where she came to Syracuse and shot Glazed Confused opening. I was painting the mural on the inside of the place. And we took you around Syracuse, and
I fell in love. I love Syracuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better than Oklahoma City,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah. We were at Funk and Waffles and having waffles and wine, which don't really go together, but it was great. And he was like, if you move here, like we could do photography. Like I could get you photography work. Like we could work together. And so I was like, yeah. So I flew home and that week and I called a realtor, put my house on the market. It sold in the first 24 hours and packed up my stuff and moved to Syracuse.
And your family, you moved
I
your
moved my
family
family.
here
Yeah,
too.
Yeah.
my boys, yeah, they love Syracuse too. Rowan was so cute when we moved here. It had been like about a month after we moved, and we were still, when you first move, you're still unpacking for like a month, right?
Mhm.
And Rowan was like, "Mom, it's like the next time we move, can it please still be to Syracuse?"
Oh, that's so
I
sweet.
know, and I was like, "Yeah, bub, yeah."
Are you born and raised in Oklahoma?
I was actually born in Houston, Texas, but we moved to Oklahoma City when I was 2. So I was raised in Oklahoma. I lived there
Okay.
my whole life until 7 years ago.
And were you always a photographer? Like ever since you were little, did you know you're going to be taking photos?
Yes, I have. Yes. So for my 3rd birthday, my parents gifted me a Susie Snapshot doll. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but she was awesome. She came with her own little camera. It was pink and yellow plastic, and it had a little flash. And the doll has a necklace with a sensor in it. And every time the camera would flash, the doll would move, so she would pose. And I played with that thing so much, and like more than just the doll, I would play with the camera. Like I would take the camera around. It didn't have film in it, but I would pretend. And so then for my 4th birthday, my parents got me my first film camera, a little 110mm plastic rectangle. And I've had a camera in my hand ever since.
And I mean, I know when you met Tommy, you were doing some product photography for him, but were you really zoning in on more portraits and working with models before you started getting into product photography?
Yeah, when I first met Tommy, I actually hadn't done any product photography. I had only done weddings, families, um, portraits. I had gotten into a little bit of fashion in Oklahoma. They actually have Oklahoma City has a pretty good fashion scene.
Really?
Yeah, and so
When I was convincing you to move here
yeah,
to shoot photography, I said, go to this brewery in Oklahoma called Prairie Artisan Ales because they have really cool cans. The artwork's really cool.
Mhm.
Said, pick up some cans, whatever cans you see, grab some 4-packs, whatever. Take those cans, treat the cans like you would one of the models that you're shooting, however you want to do it. Just try to find like its environment, try to find like bring out the inner, you know, beauty and taste and flavor and everything of the can that you would do with a model, but do it with the can. And that's what I said to her. And so then she went to that brewery and picked up some cans and then shot them all like super, super cool ways. And I took those photos to 1911 and I said, hey guys, you know, I already handle all this stuff for you. Like, why don't we start working in all like the photography end of it too? And like, here's what we could do. And they were like, oh, yeah, we should do this. And so like, I pitched them, what that would look like inside the retainer that they already had with us. And they were like, yeah. And so I was like, yeah, got the green light. And then that's when she was like, all right, I'll put my house on the market. So
Yeah.
Hey guys, quick question. Has it been a struggle for you to get the type of attention and support you need in Central New York? Could you use some more growth minded customers that want to support local businesses? At CNY Women's Network, we specialize in helping businesses foster community through dynamic events and media opportunities. As the founder of the CNY Women's Network, I'm particularly passionate about creating opportunities that amplify the voices and missions of business owners in Central New York. Whether you want to host an event with us, advertise across our media channels, or get featured on the Cultivate CNY podcast, there are plenty of ways to partner with the CNY Women's Network. We have so many exciting events and editorial campaigns lined up for 2025 and are actively seeking sponsors that align with our mission and core values. So, if this is resonating and you are ready to take your brand to the next level, email us at media@cnywomensnetwork.com to learn more. All right, let's get back to the show. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tommy, has this, this whole industry, this role that you're in, has the pitching been a natural thing for you, or is it something you kind of had to teach yourself and learn over time? Because I mean, just looking at your roster of clients and seeing the people that you have worked with, I made the assumption, I'm like, this guy knows how to pitch himself because most of the time, I mean, you guys have attracted a lot of really great opportunities for Stay Fresh. But some of these clients, they're getting pitched all the time by
yeah,
designers.
yeah.
So I'd love to hear more about that and maybe share one of your favorite brands that you've gotten to work with so far.
Ooh,
There's so many.
there's a lot. Well, pitching is, I worked at a lot of other agencies before I started Stay Fresh, and I worked at, a couple of universities teaching and stuff like that. So I was always kind of like in it, seeing how other things were done, watching other people do it. But part of my job is to tell a brand story and bring their story to the public and show the public what that looks like. And it's getting inside these people's heads, whoever the client is, and understanding them in a creative like aspect.
It's really tailored to each client though, of course. Like every pitch it's not a copy paste situation. At least that's what I'm
Well,
learning.
it's so I'm bringing these brands to life for these people, and I'm bringing their stories to life, understanding like where they like 1911 coming from an apple orchard that started in 1911.
Mhm.
Understanding that was helpful because I had been going there since I was 2, so that was helpful. I kind of knew the place, but in that I had to brand myself. I started I had to brand myself a certain way, and all of Stay Fresh is branded a very certain way to understand that like when you work with us, not we are very creative of a place, but we also are you're walking into a storybook because we're going to tell your story. Like we just understand how to tell it. And I've been trying to tell my story and just branding myself since, I got out of grad school, understanding how to do specific things. Like I would go around and do concert posters for a lot of little clubs in town or bars, whatever they were having. And I would do it for free. But in like, they would give me tickets to shows or, drink chips if, I did like a house beer. Sometimes like a lot of bars would have like a house beer. So I would just do like the label of like their house beer or something like that. And I would do that stuff in trade. And then I could use that to bring other clients to shows or bring other people to places and meet other people. So I was just networking as soon as I got out of college and grad school. But I also knew one of my professors told me in school that I couldn't start my own business if I didn't understand how to do it. So I just went through businesses and that I wanted to do and understand how to do it, like photography. I understood, sure, I could take a camera and shoot something and manipulate and Photoshop certain ways, but I don't have the eye of a photographer. So understanding that like that's something I wanted Stay Fresh to have. And my wife shot photography for Stay Fresh like when we started, but she's a mom and has another job too, so that was kind of difficult. And bringing Jess in, that it was like I love injecting creative into this town. And Jess was like a powerhouse in Oklahoma. To bring her here has only upped the game of multiple businesses in town. It only has only made Syracuse look cooler, so that's been fun. So branding all of it, understanding that I needed I went to school for programming and web design, but understanding I needed somebody else to help me with that. So I brought on Chris, who's our developer, who doesn't like doing podcasts much.
There is another person though.
We got a crew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jess and I we're a little bit more social. It said even Jess on Jess's business card that she's a smooth talker.
She is a smooth talker. I was going to ask her about that. What
Yeah.
does she mean? You guys are more forward facing, but there is a whole team behind Stay Fresh.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like being the shop that we are and the clients that we have to understand how to do all the different things and who we need to help us with those things. So not only do we have like our like Stay Fresh crew, but then we have like a bigger circle of family members that like, the print hub, we use them for like all of our clients' merch, all of our merch, and we've brought them so many cool opportunities with like, Hollywood directors and local businesses. And, we try to share the love because, we're just trying to make Syracuse making it look cool and branding our city is top priority in like our book, really.
Yeah. And you guys have done such a great job. The businesses that you guys have worked with, like Glazed and Confused, for example, such a unique brand, in my opinion, is a pillar of the Syracuse community. What are some really fun national brands that you guys have been able to design and build that you want to kind of brag about? But, I'm sure there's a bunch I don't know about.
What do you want to talk about?
I mean, we have.
I mean,
Sasha
1911
Kevin and
is
Jay?
Kevin and Jay.
1911 is national.
Yeah,
right?
it's
And-
national,
and we
but it
brought
is
them up from like the start. So that's
so
that's a
cool.
different thing. That's like taking a local brand.
And you guys
being
work
like,
with Heirloom too, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so incredible to be able to have a hand in the growth of a national brand,
Yes.
especially a brand that has started here and has expanded. And 1911 in general, Beacon Skiff, like I just love how invested they still are in the central New York community.
Yeah.
They do a really great job at tapping into other markets, but still, investing in central New York.
Yeah. And Heirloom has been cool to watch from the beginning before, it was even.
Yeah, it's pretty neat because I got to watch, the resurgence of Beacon Skiff and then 1911, and I was there for it. So that was really cool. And now like Chris and Jess and there's another designer, Amanda, who works with us. Like these guys get to watch Heirloom like bloom into like, it's crazy how, that took off. So it's cool. It's very neat to watch that stuff.
Yeah.
Have either of you ever been interested in like developing or creating a product of your own, like a consumer product?
I don't know. Well,
I feel like
know.
I just would love to see you guys create something and like streamline a product, maybe develop a brand.
There was a couple times that like we kicked around the idea with 1911 of doing a co-branded can. I don't think we ever did.
No, I don't think
That
that
ever happened. Usually a lot of the times that like people are a fan of the Stay Fresh, colors of our brand. So sometimes we get to tie that stuff into things. But yeah, a product would be cool. We do a lot of our own merch, like
Yeah.
but it's more geared towards like creatives and designers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think I've always wanted to create a product, but it's getting really hard to innovate now because there's so many products that just are constantly coming to market.
Yeah.
But ever since I was like a little kid, I've always wanted to be an inventor and like
Yeah.
create something and sell it, basically.
Air fresheners are fun. We do
Yeah.
air fresheners for us and
Oh.
clients.
Oh my gosh.
With like the car air fresheners or like the Glade plug-in?
No, like a car air freshener.
Cool.
Yeah.
My favorite is the butter. You have a butter scented.
So
like butter.
how do you guys are designing these, but how are you forming the partnerships or plugging in the other pieces that you need help with? Like, for example, are you guys making these air fresheners in-house or are you
I
working
order
with someone?
I order like they change like kind of scents like yearly. So like I order like all their scents and then we sit around Stay Fresh and just smell sample air
whiff 'em.
fresheners until we're like our
So you're blue in the
get
face.
the Advil. Our heads are just like bumping. Like it's bad news. But we find like the ones that like we like separate them out. Like, okay, these could be cool if we do like tiki style air fresheners, this would be cool. Or if Beacon Skiffer 1911 want to do any kind of apple orchard scents, here are the apple orchard scents. Kevin Smith, Jay and Silent Bob, they have a fictitious restaurant within their movies called Moobies, which is kind of like a McDonald's or Burger King, but there's a cow, and we do scents for that. So like we do like a soda scent, vanilla milkshake, and a berry muffin. So those, so we kind of come up with the various. The Stay Fresh scents that we've had are like popsicle scents. We have a butter scent that smells like butter. So it's just really like figuring out what kind of like fun things that people would want to smell. And the butter one, that gets everybody. Everybody's like, "What? I don't believe it." Then they smell
I
it.
feel
They're
like
like,
that would
"Oh."
smell really good.
Yeah.
I could get into that.
Yeah.
So that that's kind of fun. And knowing how to do that, we order all those scents, and then there's a company in Portland that we work with for that, in Portland, Oregon, and we do the design, and I give them like what the cut is around it and everything like that, and I design like the header cards, and then they produce them all, and then they ship them out to us.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Now that we're like on this topic, I have to ask because we're currently trying to design all of our sponsorship packages for our events for the rest of the year. And I really love I love seeing brand events, especially seeing all the little details and all the places you can put a logo,
Yeah.
basically. So I'm just curious, is there any like product, gifting product or product that could be worked into a specific kind of event that we could be branding and representing our sponsors through? Obviously, you have like the cocktail napkin, you can slap a logo on, stuff like that. But for example, last night I was working on sponsorship packages for our weekly walks and hiking meetups for this year.
Mhm.
We're going to have like a 6-month period of walks, and they're going to be happening every week. So there's like a very long promotional period. And this is going to be our first time that we're looking for sponsors for them. In years past, we've just said, "Hey guys, we're hosting walking meetups. Come and join us."
Yeah.
But I feel like that could be a really fun way to like look into merch and start developing merch because we had a merch shoot with you this year.
Yeah.
Did not get to launch it when we wanted to, but that's a story for when we're not recording.
Nobody ever does. Still feel bad
Yeah,
about
it's
that.
never products
Not
are
one
hard.
person ever does.
Products are so
Yeah.
hard. It's humbling.
Yeah.
And I am such a consumer that I just want to get into products,
Yeah.
Are there any cool like merch ideas or like just non-traditional merch ideas instead of like the typical, t-shirt?
Well, if you're doing walks, how many
A
walks are there?
bandana.
There's going to be, I forget the exact number, but it's going to be May through October. So there's going to be 3 total walks and 1 hiking meetup.
So you could do
Every
like
month.
a cool, if they're sponsors, you could do a cool patch for each meetup.
Oh yeah.
then
A
That's
patch.
fun.
Yeah,
to
I was
collect all the
thinking
patches.
buttons,
Buttons could be
Yeah.
but
cool
patches
too.
would be cute.
Yeah.
I know like when we're thinking of
Bandanas, you said
what are
bandanas.
our
Bandana.
attendees wearing when they're walking, right? Or
Yeah.
hiking, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, like a fanny pack would be
Fanny
cute.
packs are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fanny pack.
Mhm.
Yep.
I was thinking of like maybe our presenting sponsor. We could come out with baseball caps
Or
for the
visors.
walk with like
Mhm.
cute slogans on the front, but on the back we would have their logo visible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like our walking hosts could wear them while they're hosting. So
Yeah.
like the sponsor logo would be visible to the attendees, which is obviously who they want to reach.
Yeah.
But that's someone else was like someone was like, you should come out with branded pepper spray.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
Yeah, you
like,
could do
I
that.
don't know if that's legal, but you're onto something.
Yeah,
Maybe
you can do
maybe
that.
try hand sanitizer first. Like
Branded pepper spray. You could probably do that. Somebody's branded
I mean, it
pepper
would
spray.
be great for our demographic.
yes. Yeah. I don't know
Yeah.
anything
Or
about
whistles.
Yeah.
Whistles.
whistles. You
Oh,
could
yeah.
brand
Whistles.
Yeah.
Or like, I know they have those things that are like, it's like a pepper spray, a flashlight, a switchblade, like all in one, or like
Yeah.
trash
There was
bags.
some cool
I'm
things.
sure somebody's branding it.
Yeah. At the Boy Scout store, there's some cool like all in
Oh
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So another event that I'm excited about, we're going to be hosting like our first member retreat. And we haven't hosted a wellness retreat or anything. And I wanted this retreat to like not be your typical wellness retreat, but more so be like an adult, like girls sleepaway camp. Cause I never got to go to one and I still have FOMO.
Yeah.
Like all my friends used to go to Lourdes camp in the summer, which is like the thing to do here.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, "You're doing chores. We don't have money for that." So
I bring
never
it to
got
my
to go to
wife all the
Lourdes.
time. I'm like, we gotta send Olive to a sleepaway camp. Like
Major
something.
FOMO. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna you should, because it'll haunt them for the rest of their life, clearly. So I wanted to do something called like Camp Collective and do
Yeah.
like a camp themed
That's so
retreat
fun.
and do fun like team building exercises, but also like survival classes. Cause
Yeah.
I don't know how to build a fire, and I should probably figure that out.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, I thought that would be a really fun thing to definitely look into merch for.
Yeah.
And
You could have a lot of fun with that.
yeah,
Tons.
Yeah.
with a camp themed
Yes.
Oh yeah.
event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite merch items that you guys have besides the air fresheners?
Oh, that we make?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hats.
Hats. Yeah. He's
Or-
rocking one right now.
He's
I got
rocking one.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got this one. Yeah, these are like surf style hats, so they dry really quick if they get wet. Pins. People love our pins.
Yeah. We got.
I don't know, shirts. We got blankets, and we make just tons of fun little things. Stickers. People love stickers.
Yeah.
We can't make enough stickers.
Yeah,
People love our stickers.
I need to order some stickers. I keep telling myself
Yeah,
that.
those are pretty fun. But yeah, everybody's making all kinds of merch out there. You can get anything branded.
Yeah, and I have talked to Print Hub. He's
Oh, sweet.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
We were thinking of for apparel doing like a print on demand thing, but I know that there's like a a learning curve to that. You have to have time to sample the products
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
before you're selling them to your customers in
Yeah.
case anything goes wrong.
Yeah. You want to make sure like we try to have like super soft shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like some of our clients, when we see them, they're like, "Yo, your shirts are so soft." 'Cause I like giving everybody our shirts, but they are.
Yeah.
They're softest.
Yeah.
They're stupid soft.
They're
yeah.
stupid soft.
They are. They
Yeah.
really are.
That's all that matters, honestly. It really
Yeah.
is. Like, and because I'm such a consumer, I'm a little bit of like, a product snob, almost like I'm getting paid to review things or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So I do care about the quality.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. You don't want to. I mean, especially a t-shirt, you're gonna be in it all day. You don't want it to be uncomfortable. You don't want it to be itchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. I want to talk about your guys' gallery, because I know you guys have been hosting gallery shows, but you guys are also like amplifying the space and like tearing down walls, I hear. What's going on with all that?
Yeah. Yeah. Like 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, we applied for a permit to expand Stay Fresh to make it a larger of a space. The shows in the gallery, the space that we use now for our gallery, it gets loaded quick,
Yeah. We need.
and like like 200 plus people show up to an opening, and while that's like it's amazing, and like the Syracuse art scene is like booming for people wanting to like check new stuff out and different artists. So, but to house that, we have to like expand because it ends up being like a party in the street and a party inside. So the space next to us came available, so we got that, and it's a really big space, and we're gonna kind of restructure the whole layout of Stay Fresh, and where the gallery is now will become Jessica's main photography setup, and then the space where Jess is using for photography now will become a bigger gallery with our storefront where we sell our merch and stuff. But then you'll also be able to find stuff there that you'd find in like a little gallery, like cool little things. You'll also be able to get a beverage of different types. So we just got our permit for that 3 years later, and so we're gonna start that soon. And so we're all looking forward to that. That's pretty fun.
So did the vision for this gallery space and like this event space come before the space was available, or was the space available and you were like, maybe we should expand? I'm sure it's kind of both.
Well, I have like a 3-tiered plan to Stay Fresh, which was agency, gallery, and then education component. And we've got agency and gallery has been rocking now for quite a bit. So we're expanding the space so we can add like workshops and a couple more things into it. And so we're kind of like in our Thursday. So this was my plan from the start. And yeah, so we're just in that phase now. We're going on 11 years of Stay Fresh now. So yeah, just taking our time and making sure we do it right. For how small the space is, for the way people show up is, like I said, it's just, it shows that there is a need for something like that. People want something like that. The neighborhood we're in doesn't really have anything like that. So, they come, when people from the neighborhood come by, they're, always like, oh my God, your space is so cool. And they end up coming to shows and telling their friends, and it just keeps, getting bigger and bigger. So, um, we like showcasing local artists, and we bring in, national artists too. And it's, we always just have a really fun time.
How do you guys decide what kind of show you want to do, what kind of gallery, and who you want to work with?
I feel like we have a few different approaches on that. Like we love a good themed group show. Like we
Mhm.
do Valentine's Day Love Stinks every year, and we do a Halloween show every year because I love a good Halloween party.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And there's not enough of them, I feel like.
yeah,
No.
I
yeah.
never have plans
There
for
can't
Halloween.
be enough. Like you can never have too much Halloween.
I know. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so theme shows are fun. Like, local artists, a lot of people reach out to us and they're like, "Hey, I want to do a show." I try to make sure, there's a certain, level of quality that, we're going to put up on the wall that we'd want to show. For national artists, some are people that I've just met in life through other conventions or shows or things that I've spoken at or just college or, people I know just in the industry, that I just reach out to, and, we kind of get them to roll out. This past September, kind of as part of like the start of the education component to get rolling, we threw a design convention
Mm.
in town, which was the Stay Fresh Summit, where I brought in a bunch of different people who have met throughout the years who just do really cool stuff, and they just kind of talk to the audience of creatives, and um, it was a day of inspiring talks and fun and music and dinosaur barbecue, and it was about 85 people came to it, which was awesome, and it was a super good time.
yeah,
Yeah, I loved seeing that event when I saw it being promoted online. I was like, thank you, Stay Fresh, for hosting something like this. Before I started doing this, I was a makeup artist for 7 years, like in our region. And when I was first starting doing makeup, I really wanted to do more editorial work and move to New York and do that whole thing. Um, and then but while I was building my portfolio and supporting myself, I was doing a lot of weddings here.
yeah,
And there's a really good wedding industry here in our region. But I always just felt like there wasn't the creative scene that I really, really was craving here.
Yeah,
And then eventually I pivoted and went in a different direction. But, to have these educational events and kind of bringing the creatives here in Syracuse, giving them access to the people that and to the inspiration, insight, the content that really sparks the creativity and drives that forward here. I just thought that was such a blessing that
yeah,
you did for creatives here, and I really hope you guys continue to do it.
yeah. No, we love doing stuff like that. We throw the chalk jam in the summertime for the
yes,
kids, and
Mhm.
we're doing more stuff like that. Like I said, like our goal is always Syracuse first, because you looked at that and like you're like, wow, this is awesome. This is a creative thing happening in town with like big name people coming to town, and like there are people from other cities. People from Rochester saw that and came out, and Buffalo came out, and so Syracuse is a really cool place, and we're just trying to make sure everybody knows it. And we're just trying
Mhm.
to show off everybody that we can. And Jess's photography does that. Chris's websites do that. And we try to make all of our design and branding do that as well. So
yeah. We love Syracuse, and so we want to showcase it and give back, and
yeah.
yeah,
Putting Syracuse on the map.
yeah,
Well, I know.
Period. And
yeah,
it's isn't it so nice that we're like smack dab in the center of the state? So
Yeah.
we can, if you're hosting events like that, you really can draw people into the city, which
Yeah.
is part of my like vision for the summit, right? I was like, okay, this year we're going to market across the whole center state region. We might not bring in a ton of people from Rochester, Buffalo, Albany, but we're going to try, and we're going to partner with the Marriott, because that's the vision, is to like create more buzz, more attraction, and hopefully like more prosperity
Yeah.
in our region.
Yeah.
yeah, 100%.
I want to talk more about the Chalk Jam. You guys are really great at partnering with local organizations and like giving back, which
Yeah.
I love. So tell us more about the Chalk Jam.
Well, the Syracuse New Times threw it for a while, and then they disappeared, and so did the Chalk Jam. So after I think it was gone for like a year or two. I started contacting people at the city and just downtown committee and stuff. I was like, who's in charge of this? Can we bring him back? And they're like, yeah, we can do that. So we kind of tack it on to the Arts and Crafts Festival weekend. So it's on that Saturday, and it's down on Montgomery Street in front, kind of like in front of City Hall. And people can sign up, kids, adults, whoever. We have prizes for all different types of categories and skill sets. And we get a lot of sponsors from people, donations from people and companies and businesses around town. So it's a really fun time. And kids come in, everybody gets a bag, and in the bag is some stickers and a 48 pack of Crayola chalk. And the art store, is a big sponsor of that. And the downtown committee hooks us up with the sidewalk and a bunch of barriers so cars can't come by. And yeah, it's cool. I like it because that Arts and Crafts Festival is already a big thing happening, and there's other stuff happening too in the city. So stay fresh throwing that. You create a connection, like a connection point from the Arts and Crafts Fest, and you can get people walking more through the city,
Mm.
which I think is important. And that whole week now, last year they started the Syracuse Arts Trail, which goes from Columbus Circle area all the way down to the Gear Factory on the near west side, and Stay Fresh is included in that, and other galleries are included in that. And that whole week, there's stuff happening at all these different galleries and at the Everson, and you can kind of walk throughout Syracuse and see like a whole week of art and fun. So we usually kick it off with a show at Stay Fresh the Friday before the Arts Trail starts, and then that whole week there's stuff going. And the chalk jam's part of that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
If someone's like new to Syracuse and they really want to they really want to check out more arts and culture here,
Yeah.
that's a great place to go. But is there
Yeah.
anywhere, anyone or anything that's going on for people like that more consistently?
Oh, I mean, there's so many cool little spots in town that are doing art now.
Funk and Waffles was always a good spot too. That really has done a great job showcasing local artists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still in there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jaleel and Jaleel Campbell, and he's a local artist. He was also one of my students at one point. Him and I both have a lot of artwork in Funk and Waffles. A bunch of my paintings are in there. So if you're looking for Tommy paintings outside of anywhere else in town, you can find them there for sale at Funk.
Mm-hmm.
But Jaleel also, his style is awesome. And at one point when Funk moved downtown, I was like, you got to get Jaleel Campbell on this other side. So Adam threw him in there, and yeah, that's super fun time. They have music every night. So if you're trying to find music, like they have awesome music happening every single night. And Funk was one of our original clients,
Mm-hmm.
and still a client. Like we still work with Adam on a bunch of different things. So um, yeah, doing their food truck was super fun.
Yeah. Everything at Funk and Waffles is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys do so many different kinds of art and design for people. You
Yeah.
just told me you're going to design a vinyl record, which is so cool.
Yeah, that's super fun. It's actually our second record that we're doing, and I get to put like little Stay Fresh records, on the back of it, like 002. And it's for like Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes, who are Jay and Silent Bob. They did a
Mhm.
tour that we branded this past fall, and yeah, so we're working on a cool vinyl for them.
Side note, my mom is a huge fan of Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, and when I told her earlier that I was interviewing you guys work with them, my mom's like, "Oh my gosh, that's insane."
They
It
are
is
such
insane.
a
Such a
Yeah.
cool. It's like it's a whole brand universe. I mean,
Yes.
they've done an incredible job with that.
Yes, they really have. And they're so much fun to work with, and they're such great people. Like,
They're like the sweetest people.
yeah,
It's just comforting.
it's
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
so
Yeah.
good.
anything and everything that we do with them, we love.
How
'Cause-
long have you guys been working together with them? A while, right?
I don't even know. Like only like 3 or 4 years. I
Yeah.
think only like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
But Tell 'em Steve, they have that podcast. Walt and Brian, who are on Comic Book Men. Comic Book Men was a show that Kevin produced and created for AMC. So they were all friends. So that's kind of how that came about. Is we had been doing Tell 'em Steve Dave stuff for so long. At one point, Kevin was like, "Who's doing all this stuff for you guys?" And they're like, "This team up in Syracuse." And that's when Jay's wife reached out and was like, "Hey, can you help us out too?" And we were like, yeah, of course. And yeah, it's just been fun
Yeah.
since. We got to go out to LA and shoot Jay and a bunch of different merch and
Yeah. We've been to New Jersey several times for,
yeah.
the Smod Castle cinemas.
Yeah, Kevin owns a movie theater in New Jersey where he does a lot of events, and with the fans, he'll watch movies with fans, and then they like
Yeah.
talk about them afterwards and stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
we
was a
get
lot of fun.
yeah, it's cool getting sucked in that universe. And like I said, working with Print Hub on stuff, we suck them in too. So they do a lot of merch production for them now as well. So, yeah, it's been a good time.
Hmm.
Yeah, Print Hub has some really cool clients. Like I saw that they work with Loverboy,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that drink brand.
yeah,
It's so cool how like one thing can lead to another. You know what I
yeah.
mean? You never know who's going to see your work.
Yeah, you
Yes.
don't. No, that's for sure. And it's fun too with us. Nobody knows what we do. So our website is something that is a constant struggle for us because we have a lot of work. And right now, there's a lot in house. So to focus on ours is a big ask of to top pile on top of the other stuff too that our homie Chris is working on. So you go to our website, you see our client list, and hopefully you're like, oh, this is broad enough to know that these guys do a ton of cool stuff,
Mhm.
or interesting stuff, or at least good work. And our website is fun enough where you might say, oh, well, this is kind of interesting too. Jess's photography is sprinkled into it, and we have an
Yeah.
events section that lets people know about events we have coming up, unless we want it to be really underground. And we have a merch shop, so it's kind of been like the necessity for a little bit, and Stay Fresh has been operating on like a light bulb over people's heads when they're like, oh, the same people that designed this hard cider can in my hand also did, the mayor's campaign or
Mhm. Which are two
Jay
very,
and
very
Silent
different
Bob's. Yeah.
things you're branding.
Yeah. So we boast that we can handle anything, and that's because we have like a good crew and like I said, a extended circle of team members that we can bring in on things if somebody needs video, or if somebody needs drone stuff, or if somebody needs merch production, or somebody needs a sign created, or some whatever the need is.
Mhm.
We were all we're creatives first, but we come with the full bag of skills. So
Yeah, and I think that that is usually the hardest part of building a business in general is like building the team.
yeah.
But an agency is like you need to make sure every single person that's on that team is like 110% amazing at what they do.
Yeah.
What is that like team building process been like for you guys? Has it come naturally or has there been like some hiccups? It's
Well,
been tough. I mean, for me, like
yeah.
I'm not good at asking for help. Usually, the only time I ask for help is when it's like too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like,
I need
yeah.
to prioritize that more, I think.
Yeah.
But there's such an art to vetting people and building the team and it takes a long time to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that Tommy is a really good judge of character and he's pulled together a pretty good team. I think we're all very lucky that we get along so well. I mean, we go to work every day, with my best friends. Like we have
Mhm.
such a good time. And, we kind of have like a built-in support system because we've known each other now for 7 years and we are best friends and like, we all like have good days together and we have bad days together and like I think being small is kind of an asset for us right now.
Mhm.
Cuz
I have playlists for everybody who's
yeah,
having a
he
bad
does.
day in the studio.
Yes,
So
yeah.
if Jess is having a bad day, or if Chris is having a bad day, or if Amanda's having a bad day, I have a specific playlist I'll kick on, so their day gets a little bit better. I don't know that they knew this until I started telling them, but then they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You know your people.
Yeah.
I feel like Tommy, earlier when you were explaining the whole pitching thing with other brands, it's I think if you want to pitch to a brand that you want to work with, like the best thing you can do is know that brand. Like
Oh yeah.
know the brand front to back. You are a consumer of their product, like a loyal one. Those are usually I mean, that will probably be the most successful partnership you ever have, right? It was with a brand like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just seems like you yourself, Tommy, you must be a very well, obviously a detail-oriented, but a very curious person, and
Yeah.
you genuinely care about knowing and understanding people
Yeah.
and
Yes.
products and brands, of course.
Yeah, like with Jason Mewes, he does a lot of stand-up comedy now. So he went out on tour and he had some merch that he needed done. He wanted to do some stickers. He had never done them on tour, and I was like, "Oh, I'll come up with stickers." So I watched his shows. I watched all his jokes, and I listened to all his jokes. And he had one about these little like beef sticks, and so I made like this like I found the beef sticks and I made this like fake packaging with the beef sticks in them, and it was like it was all geared towards Jay, like all like the verbiage on the packaging. And I showed him to Jay's wife, like there's Jay and his wife were on the call, and Jordan was like, "I don't know about these ones. Like, I don't." She was like, "I don't know that that's really." And Jay's like, "What?" He's like, "Tommy, I'm so glad." So like I listen. I like finding like the little things that you can pull out of something, because a lot of time market is just flooded with like a lot of the same stuff, and a lot of fans or even with hard cider, like a lot of like cider drinkers, people like finding like the little fun little things about something. It feels like you're in the know.
Mhm.
You know a secret.
Yeah.
Um,
People love little, what do they call them? Easter eggs.
Easter eggs,
Easter
Yes,
yeah,
eggs.
yeah.
inside
Yeah.
jokes, all
Yeah.
that stuff. So once you find out something like that, like the one year that we did all the 1911 cans, blacklight. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, for those who found out about it, it was awesome for
Yeah.
them. But,
They're cool.
What's the inside joke on that?
Well, it's
nothing. It
just
was just
that
like we
all
wanted to,
of the cans that came out that year, if you took like put them under a black light, they looked cool.
they had
Like,
like a full on like
yeah.
black light design. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't something that we tried like pushing. We did one photo shoot, I think, all black light.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just cool, the way that we worked that year. So we just try to make fun happen inside of whatever we're doing.
Yeah. I think that like fun is a very important and like underappreciated aspect of
A lot of people don't like fun. A
yeah.
lot of people are afraid of it.
But I think it's so important, especially, life is always going to be hard no matter, there's
No
no way
matter
around it.
like whether you are an entrepreneur, you're
Right.
working, climbing the corporate ladder or not, just or like anyone, it's always going to be
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think that
difficult.
having fun is, it's necessary. It's important.
Like even those corporate cats, they want to have fun. Like
Yeah.
we did like an insurance company like brand, and it's like their insurance. But those dudes like golfing, those guys like going out like, in their cars or whatever. So like their logo, their brand should look cool on a hat that they can wear at the golf course. And it should still look cool like when they're doing whatever they're doing in their life. So while it might not be our type of fun, it's their type of fun.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
we try to tap into like clients like that. Like, who are you? Like, while this is an insurance company or this is a donut shop, who are you? Who's the person? Who's the person behind it? Because everybody's company is like an extension of themselves. So
Yeah.
you just got to figure that out, which is fun figuring out.
It is fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we figure it out. We're like, oh shit, you don't want to do this anymore.
Well, you said like a lot of people are afraid to have fun.
Yeah.
I want to like dig into that a little bit more. Why do
Oh,
you have you come to a conclusion on that? Like why you think that might be, or at least from what you've observed? Because there's a lot of people in Syracuse that there's a lot of lives you guys have touched or impacted in one way, but you guys are really fun people. You guys are special.
Yeah.
You're what we call a unicorn. A lot of people don't have as much fun as you guys.
well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I
Well,
guess. But they
yeah.
don't see, I mean, as well as we just ride, like I say, we just ride the waves.
I think that a lot of people, as they get older, kind of lose touch with their inner child. I think that, society kind of teaches us that to be an adult, you need to be serious. You need to be busy. You need to, work hard. And like, I think that it's such a shame that people lose that connection with their inner child. Because, like, if you ever talk to a kid, they have the best ideas. Kids are so creative, and kids like to have fun. And I think that finding that fun and like finding that connection with your inner child only helps you to be more creative and to come up with better ideas and to come up with things that no one else has come up with.
To innovate, yeah.
Yeah.
To stay
Yeah.
fresh, if you would.
Yeah.
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 See what you did there? Yeah. You gotta keep it fresh.
Yeah, touch on that, like, you were a kid first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some people, unfortunately, we had to grow up into, like, adulthood, but that doesn't mean you have to stop being a kid. On our business cards, I try to put, like, something fun on our business cards too, like we talked about earlier. Jessica says smooth talker, which she's not.
I'm not.
She couldn't even make phone
I'm
calls
off.
when she moved here. I was like, "You have to
I
call this person." She's like, "I don't want to
Well,
call
when
that
I
person."
saw that, I was like, "Huh, is there a side of her I'm not
No,
getting?"
no.
No.
It's, you know,
I by the way, I adore Jess. I love working with you because you are a person that just is you're really good at making people feel safe. There's something so warm
I appreciate
and
that.
grounding about you.
Yeah.
And like I feel built I don't know, I just feel like a lot of the times I feel like I have to perform for
Yeah.
people and kind of just be a certain person. And with you, I can just like relax. And I'm actually very just laid back, casual, go with the flow type of gal.
Yeah.
But I feel like I don't get to be that person a whole lot.
Yeah.
So that's why I love working with you.
Well, I really appreciate that. I am not a smooth talker and I am awkward. And like I think that I decided a long time ago that, when I get nervous and when I do try to perform is when I become more awkward.
Mhm.
Like situations like this.
You're
And-
doing amazing, sweetie.
Thank you. Thank you. But so I try to be myself when I'm around people, especially when I'm putting them in front of the camera to try to relax them because, you get the best imagery out of people when they're comfortable. And so I try to let them know that I'm awkward and I try to let them know that I'm a human too and that I try to offer up a little vulnerable piece of myself so that they feel safe to relax and, be vulnerable in front of the camera and give us
Mhm.
the best photos, And so my awkwardness, I think,
It's a blessing.
it is one of my strengths, even though it sometimes is also embarrassing.
It's refreshing. It's just so refreshing to be around someone that like doesn't feel obligated to be perfect. And I just think that in general, especially when you are in this space, you probably are working with a lot of really cool people that do really cool things and that are performing at a high level, if you will. So
Yeah.
it's like in this space, it's just so refreshing to be around someone that is just really authentic and real
Thank you.
and casual. Like,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
you know,
And that's such a gift too, because I mean, portraiture
yeah.
is very intimate.
Yes, it is. It is very intimate and, it's vulnerable. You are like giving a piece of yourself to the camera that it may possibly exist on the internet forever, you know? And so it takes a lot of bravery to step in front of the camera, helping people to relax. And, at the end of the day, everybody is just a human. And so to make that like human connection with somebody before they step in front of the camera, I feel like is really important.
Yeah. And it's like also your product is incredible too. So it's you move very quickly. Like you're able to work very quickly and get like you can tell that you read people very well and you automatically know what's going to make them look good, which is just like something I'm sure you cannot teach. So you just have an eye.
Thank you. Did you ever watch Fern Gully?
No.
Ugh, it's my favorite movie as a kid. And there's a scene in it where she's like, "I give you the gift of fairy sight." And I feel like I watched that movie enough as a kid that I also got the gift of fairy sight.
Yeah.
And so
You
that's
have vision.
that's where my eye came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. And you do I mean you do work and you work with people from all across the board because you just did my headshots a couple months ago, but
Yeah.
I saw you were doing a bunch of other people's headshots and then you're shooting product for 1911 and all your other clients over here. So like what is your process between the two? Is it really calculated or just something that you've just figured out?
Honestly, everything I do is pretty organic. I would say that it's the opposite of calculated. everybody has a vibe that they put off. Everybody has a history. Everybody has a thing that they're into. I just kind of I pull from their energy. Like when I get a product, like when I get a new can, I leave it on my desk for like a week before I photograph it because I kind of want to be inspired by it and get the vibe, and like I will try a bunch of things. Sometimes it doesn't work. So you just keep trying until you get the thing that does work. I'll have a vision in mind sometimes. I'm like, "Oh, this would be awesome." And then I start to put it together. I'm like, "No, this doesn't look right. This doesn't look right." And so I scrap it and start over. I don't know, you just have, the rules of composition and, like understanding how light works and how it wraps around someone's face and it's I have all of that background knowledge. I went to school and learned all of that, and so I have that all in the back of my head. And so I just keep that there, and then I just look at stuff and I look at it. I'm like, does this look good? And if it doesn't look good, I try something else.
Yeah. But the most important part is you know what looks good and what doesn't. You have that discernment. Are there any photographers that you like look up to?
I have a lot. Yeah. Um, David LaChapelle, he's got beautiful color work. He uses so much obnoxious color, and I love it so much. Everything he does is very loud. And I also am a big fan of Cindy Sherman. She did a bunch of self portraits. Like all of her work is self portraits, and she's a different character in all of them. And she's just really good at telling stories. Tina Barney does a lot of like pattern mixing that shouldn't work. Like she does a lot of like awkward compositions that shouldn't work, but they do.
I love work like that.
Yeah.
More unpredictable things that make you think.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tommy, what about you? Any artists or designers or
Mhm.
agencies that you really look up to?
Guy I know, Aaron Draplin, who's over the years been kind of buddy of mine, who I've always kind of looked at like his work is just really great, and he's very inspirational. And the designers of old, like designers through like the 1950s and 60s. I look at a lot of those older cats because they didn't have the tools that we had. So how did they make the stuff that they made look so like impressive? And so I look a lot of that, and then I also I have like a string of like comic book artists that I also really enjoy. So mine are never like really pinpointed. It's more of feelings like the artist behind a lot of the Pee Wee's Playhouse set direction, set design and stuff like that. His name's Wayne White. I follow him, and his stuff is very inspiring. And then Mary Blair, who was a Disney artist. All of her work is super inspiring, and her colors were just like insane the way she used color, and so um, that's kind of how I cycle through inspiration and stuff like that in my head.
Yeah, and I feel like for I don't know what it is, the fourth time during this conversation, I feel like I've had the same thought like, wow, he must be a really good networker because it seems like you've made these really incredible connections throughout your career, but it doesn't like I just know from your character it was all genuine and organic and not forced.
Yeah, like when I started working as a designer at agencies, some agencies would put me on like different boards, or go sit on this, or why don't you get involved in this? And so I started making a lot of connections throughout the city back then. And then when I went off on my own, a lot of people were like, "Oh, you should help us out with stuff. You should help us out with stuff." And so building those connections was always also like a key component of s- making Stay Fresh happen, because it gave me a pretty good groundwork of individuals in Syracuse to work with. And I don't know. I'm always out there. I'm nonstop. So I'm always trying to like go to new. I always try to hit like all the art stuff in town that's happening. I try to be at new events that are happening, just so I can try to keep just pushing the Syracuse scene. And yeah.
Yeah. I think that's where like the magic really is just like staying out there and attending events. And I think
Yeah.
when you are building a business and you're very, very busy with that business and maybe going to networking events isn't like at top of mind for you. for me personally, I just went to an event in Toronto last weekend and I was like, I need to do this more because this is the stuff that's really going to push the needle in my business, not necessarily because of the connections I got, but because it's just, you can get so much inspiration and
Yeah.
so much out of an event other than connections.
Yeah.
But it's really easy to get caught up in like the thick of work every day. And just at the end of the day, you don't want to go to that happy hour on a Wednesday evening. You want to go
No.
home.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm lucky I have a pretty good family support at home. Like I have 3 kids and a wife who a lot of the time I have to say like, all right, dad's got to go. I have to go to Stay Fresh to do this. Sometimes my kids are like bummed, but sometimes they're just like, yeah, have fun. So I have a pretty good team at home that allows me to do, what I do. A lot of the time, Jess and I work stuff into our jobs. Like the clients that we work with are people that like you said, that we know and we're also fans of. So that in itself affords us like, this is pretty fun, what we're doing right
Yeah.
now. When we get to travel, we try to like, all right, well, we're in this city. What's going on in this city that we can do? Like, what can we check out? Like, what do we have time to like make for ourselves to like get inspired while we're here? So a lot of time we're trying to do it on the move to kind of like interweave it into our kind of daily and weekly routines. Even like with the city, like whenever I walk from Stay Fresh to like Recess to get coffee or wherever I'm going, South City Market, I try to take a different path each time so I can kind of see the city just from like a different viewpoint or different walking point.
Run into different people.
Run into
Yeah.
different people. Yeah, it's important to know the grid, know the city that you're in too, especially in our business. Help people brand it.
Yeah. It's one thing I've recently been like is like, how am I kind of like doing my research within my own realm? Because a lot of the times you're trying to look outside of your industry or your business and connect those dots.
Mm-hmm.
But, what partnerships could you be forming that are in your niche or in your
Yeah.
industry? So that's another thing I want to prioritize this year is how can I partner with similar brands or organizations?
And that's really just asking. Like everybody that we've ever worked with, we just asked.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
hey, you want to do something cool? And they're
Yeah.
like, yeah. What can we do? And I'm like, I don't know, but it's gonna be cool, And that's all it
It's like, I
ever
don't know. I
is.
love what you do.
Yeah,
I love what you stand for.
yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Let's
Let's
make
just
something happen.
grab coffee or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my God. This was so fun, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining me. I would
Yeah.
love to do a part 2 and maybe have you like roast our website.
Oh,
Granted, there's
Sure.
plenty of content on our website that is Stay Fresh, courtesy of Jess.
Yeah.
She just
already weaving it in.
Yeah.
you photographed our members card last year, which
Yes.
we're actually about to launch our 2025 one.
Awesome.
Luckily, the card looks the exact same, so we're going to keep using those photos.
Awesome.
But you also just did our Galentine's Day shoot, which
Yes.
was actually by far my favorite shoot I have done. to
That
date.
was so much fun. It was so fun.
The vision was achieved.
Yes, you guys did a great job. And like, even though everybody was freezing,
Yeah,
we
we were
pulled it off.
freezing. I was like, this is show business, man.
Yep.
Got to
Yep.
get it done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you guys
Yeah,
for
thanks
sitting
for having
down with
us.
me. It
Yeah,
was
it's cool.
so much fun. And I look forward to seeing what else you guys are up to in 2025.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, guys, that's it for this week's episode. Thank you for tuning in to Cultivate CNY. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you left us a review and make sure you're subscribed to the show. Speaking of the show, if you or someone you know wants to be our next guest on Cultivate CNY, you can submit an application. Just click the link in the show notes. And if you are a business owner that's interested in getting in front of our audience, we're looking for sponsors. So if you want to learn more about sponsorship opportunities, you can go ahead and shoot us an email at podcast@cnywomensnetwork.com, and I will take care of you there. That's it for now, and we'll catch you next Monday.